It's Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Keatsman. I don't even have my computer open yet. I'm so ready for this show. I don't need it. I don't need anything. I don't need a device. I don't need anything. I'm ready to rock today, as I rarely get headaches. And I had one last night. And I feel like when it happens to me from time to time, I'm on my devices too much. I'm looking at a screen too many hours in a day. I've got my neck down toward a phone or a computer screen or whatever. And I got rid of it and slept okay. And then I had it a little bit this morning. Is there anything better than when you have a headache and it goes away and it's just gone? And then you just feel like $1,000,000. So I know a lot of folks out there deal with pain and headaches and things like that, or migraines. I've never had much. I'm not much for headaches. But, man, I'm telling you what, when they go away, whoo, I'm feeling good today. I feel great that it is gone, and I'm ready to rock this show. We're going to do a couple of things different on this show today, including I'm going to give a nod to Pete Buttigieg, which is very random for this show. He's actually right. There is such a thing as a racist road, and I'm going to prove that to you because we have one in Kansas City. Uh-oh, where's this going today? You're going to have to wait on that one. And later, the Chicago Bears are going all Kansas City Chiefs, it appears, and they are moving to Indiana. It's done. 24-0 vote in the House in Indiana. The Bears have released a statement, and they have said this is the most significant movement yet. They're pledging $2 billion of their own money toward the stadium in Indiana, which if the Chiefs spent $2 billion at the ratio they've got, the Chiefs would build a $6.6 billion stadium. That's how little the Chiefs are paying compared to teams like the Bears and the Redskins and the Commanders and these other teams. But we'll get into the details a little bit of why the Bears. Well, we look out the window every day at Morton Salt across the building right here from Chicago. They moved to Corporate Woods in Overland Park from Chicago. The corporate tax rate is obsessive. They're absolutely obsessed in Illinois of hammering these big companies. We've heard the CEO of McDonald's say they may relocate. They're obsessed with their corporations and the taxes they charge them, and they're paying the price. It's looking bad. The Chicago Bears may be moving to Indiana, and what are Bears fans going to do when that happens? I don't know. Same as it was on a state line here. And, yes, that is basically a state line. It's not very far to drive across the river. It would be like a lake area in Indiana. I can't even imagine what this will be like. We'll get to it all ahead on Uncanceled and check in with Mark as well. He's got some great news about the Mavericks having a big night this week that we'll talk about, Kansas City's hockey team and what they're doing for military. That's pretty cool stuff. We begin today with Sharice Charade, one of my absolute favorites of all time, because I don't really like her because I don't respect her. I'd like her a lot more if she were more transparent, stood for something, did something. I'll put it to you this way. I don't know if I remember a Congress, but I don't think anybody has it easier than Sharice Charade. Is anybody even running against her this year in Kansas District 3? Is she running basically unopposed is what it feels like? So there's no campaigning. There's no sweating over whether you're keeping your job. You don't have to do anything. You can agree with the squad people. Just don't let that be played out in the media back in your district and let people know here what you're really about. It's one big charade. It's everything we hate about politics. It's somebody who does nothing, stands for very little, speaks platitudes, and won't let you know their real self, because if their real self is found out, there is fear that they may actually lose their position. It looks easy to me to be Sharice Charade. So I'm not surprised she put something together like she did yesterday with Johnson County business owners. And I went to her website and took a look at this because I didn't really understand why she hosts a Johnson County Small Business Roundtable. Why not a District 3 Small Business Roundtable? Are you listening in Wyandotte County? There was no representation from any business in Wyandotte County. And maybe that has to do with the stadium or companies that would be impacted from what's going on there, and she didn't want to hear the complaints, whatever. This is as disgusting a group as you've ever heard that got together for this deal. The media were allowed in, so Channel 41 went, that's easy. Basically, Channel 41 is Sharice Charade's website content creator. They go out and shoot stuff, and then she gets to put it on her website because she knows they're dyed in the wool, and everything is great. So they have this small business thing, and it's closed door. It's not open to the public. You can't go. I'm a small business owner in Johnson County. I can't go. I wasn't invited. I'm not sure they told anybody this was happening. They just said after the fact, look at Sharice out here doing the job. She had a small business roundtable. Okay. So I went on the site and I took a look at the businesses were there. I'm like, was anybody invited? Was it open to the public? No. The first one I come across is amazing. It's called Learning Tree Toys and Books. And they're located in Prairie Village, which seems to be the epicenter of all the businesses here that were part of this thing. And I thought, well, okay, this is a bad business. Bookstores today are very difficult. So basically the whole seminar was about whining and complaining that Trump has tariffs. It's killing small business. So right off the bat, there's no conservative businesses in there. It's all bashing. The first one I look up, because they're in the story on Channel 41, is Learning Tree Toys and Bookstore. And I looked them up. And what do I find in the archives? This isn't hard. Last May 2025, Sharice Davids walked through and did a media gaggle with Learning Tree Toys and Bookstore in Prairie Village, where she got them on all the local newscasts because their business was low. Trump was just starting to do the tariffs, and we all hate Trump and we all hate tariffs. I'm like, this isn't an open forum, a small business roundtable. This is her people.
Was it Learning Tree or Leering Tree?
Leering Tree. Yes. No, these are smarter people. It's Learning Tree, not Leering Tree. I love that. And so we've got campaign contributors. We've got business associates. Listen to these companies. 030 holding companies in Gardner. They'll buy your business. That's their business. Abovo LLC, Prairie Village. Engage Insurance Group, Overland Park. Hope Roots Collective. This might have been my favorite. You go to Hope Roots Collective. What the hell is that? I mean, immediately, don't you just say, oh, boy, this is the most liberal Democrat meeting in the history of the world. Hope Roots Collective. 3 giant liberal buzzwords. If you go to their website, here's what you're going to find, because Sharice Davids, she knows all about DEI and all those good things. The website, the front page, it's literally outside the building, 10 white Karens on a sidewalk. And what do? What do these Karens do? I'm not putting them in a category other than just Karen. They look like, they would be going to a protest. They'd be doing whatever it is they do, but they don't particularly look like they're in some other group. I can't, move them off and say, okay, this is LGBTQ or this is that or whatever. I don't know. I just know that they're liberal and they're all right there. And we know these Karens. We know them. I saw a bumper sticker yesterday that said, not today, Karen. I loved it. I got to get those. We need to put KCMO Talk Radio on those. Not today, Karen. KCMO Talk Radio. That's a great idea for a bumper sticker. So I saw that for the first time. Hope Roots Collective is offering a free seminar in 2 days on safe sex for LGBTQ plus members. Sharice Davids is gay. She's a woman. She has stated this seminar and her mission with small businesses is basically to help women, people in recovery, and veterans. We respect the veterans part. The other people at the table, Johnson County Community College, that's easy, that's education. Kansas City Women's Business Center, of course. Kansas City Small Business Development Center, yes. Landworks Studio in Olathe, of course. Learning Tree Books, Navitas. Pool Fire Protection, a woman-owned fire business. Ralph Munyon, attorney at law. This one got me more interested than anyone. We'll get to Ralph in a minute. Springboard Creative and Mission, which basically does, those alumni magazines for colleges that you get in the mail all the time that you don't read. That's what they do. So they're working in education. And Sweet Tea's Coffee Shop, where the owner said on the Channel 41 piece, it's not about coffee, it's about community. But she's complaining that coffee's too expensive because of tariffs. That's what the whole thing was about, bash Trump. And her place, Sweet Tea's Coffee Shop, is a place to dream. They offer kindness coffee every day, where they use the free labor of middle school students to create the sleeves that they put on the cups of coffee that say things like, thank you for being you. I think you understand the businesses that were with Sharice Davids yesterday in that room. And that brings us to Ralph Munyon, who I don't know. And I spent more time on Ralph, the lawyer, than anyone else. Pete knows him, I'm sure, right away. Ralph Munyon at the Johnson County Small Business Roundtable with Sharice Davids, a congresswoman, is on the Kansas City Board of Election Commission and the Jackson County Census Reapportionment Commission, with Frank White. Frank White appointed him to that. He is listed as a Republican on both of those boards. Okay, awesome. What kind of Republican are we talking about here? You're hanging out. Oh, wait. Why are you at the Johnson County Small Business Roundtable and you're on the KC Board of Elections and the Jackson County Census Reapportionment Commission? Oh, you opened your office there in Prairie Village. And you live right over there like in Brookside or something probably, right? Because that's District 4 that he works for in Missouri. So you go across the state line and you run your business in Kansas. You probably have a tax advantage. I know the corporate tax is lower in Kansas than it is in Missouri. So you're saving money by doing that. And now you're all wrapped up in Kansas politics because you got a business there. And you're hanging out with lenders and holding companies and congresswomen. I am disgusted by the way our government operates, ladies and gentlemen. And there is no democracy to this. She surrounded herself by people that will help with her campaign, that will back her if there's any trouble ever, people that will donate money. This is disgusting. This is gross. And then they put it on the website as, look at her. Oh, she cares about small business and women and people in recovery. Yes, she does. Look at her hanging out with this lawyer who works for all these Jackson County and Kansas City, Missouri things, that calls himself a Republican, crosses the state line, hangs out with a Democrat congresswoman because his business is in her district. All of you. Oh, my God. How did we get here? And what happened to Johnson County? I'll announce this today. I don't know when. I'm promising you right now, after the Lenexa 7-2 city council vote last night, that they're building low-income housing after their homeless shelter at the La Quinta Inn was shot down. They're building low-income housing, mile or two from my house. A lot of people in Lenexa are steamed about this. They've imported all kinds of single people living in apartments. 7-2, the council voted. That's the makeup, Democrat, Republican. But, boy, we can't put that on the ballot. We can't put on the ballot whether you're a Democrat or Republican. You just got to go vote and guess. Democrats don't guess. They know their own. So they win all these local elections. They got that. Olathe's surely going to pass their $400 million for nothing, land and repairing buildings. That'll probably pass because they're just really good at doing this stuff. I'm going to promise you today I'm leaving Johnson County. I don't know when that is. Well, I need to live long enough because I'm not ready to do it yet, but it's done. It's done. It's done. They've taken it over. You can have it. You can have it. You want to tear it down? Tear it down. Rip it apart. Destroy it. Make it whatever anybody would think where Democrats are in charge becomes. Raise the taxes. Spend it on frivolous crap. Keep my property taxes going up. Price everybody out. Knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. I'm getting out. I'm finding someplace low tax. I'm going to find the reddest place you ever saw. And you know, I can do my podcast from there. Hell, they'll probably let me do the radio show from there if I wanted to. My kids are grown. They all live out of state. What am I doing here? I got grandbaby 1,000 miles away. Well, I'm not living there. I mean, these are questions you ask. But Johnson County, you've left me. Sharice Davids, you are a fraud. 913-408-7957. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. Still ahead, it's true. We have a racist road in Kansas City. And the Bears are doing the Chiefs. They're moving across the state line. The Chicago Bears, it appears, by all accounts, are headed to Indiana to build a new stadium. What a great world we live in. Isn't that awesome? Here is Doug in Overland Park to get us started today. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Keith. Hey, just real quick, bro. Sure good to hear you, and I'm enjoying your show. But, man, you are 100% right. If you were to tell me 20 years ago that this was going on here and Sharice Davids has been in office so much, I'd have told you were crazy and don't know what you're talking about. And by God, here we are. You know, I couldn't believe it either. I mean, they're even allowing, like, there were middle schoolers at Hawker Grove Middle School yesterday. They're on Johnson Drive protesting ICE with their little signs. Man, how do they get away with using minors to do that kind of thing? And then, you know, my own son goes to high school. He's a senior in the Shawnee Mission School District. Ever since he's been in elementary school, I've had to, you know, talk to him about what's going on. What are the teachers talking to you about? I even, at times, we've sat down and listened to Ben Shapiro and some other guys and Charlie Kirk, and, you know, so he could understand where I'm coming from,
right,
and really what it needs to be. parents, you got to do that.
You're right, and you make a great point. Now, not every parent's going to do that, and we have trusted for generations in this country that we send our kids to school, and they're going to be taught the curriculum, and parents will do the parenting, and teachers will do the teaching. That's out the window. The two main places in Kansas City right now are the Olathe School District and the Shawnee Mission School District. Those are where the problems are. We had kids, junior high kids, middle school kids, at the Home Depot the other day just running wild with their signs. I guess they got out of school early and went to do this. So this is coming from the administration. It's not – I got an email from a listener of my podcast that said, listen, I'm at Shawnee Mission East, and what I saw was a whole bunch of teachers that were really ticked off. They were allowing these kids to go out in the middle of school and do this. They want it after school or on the weekend. So I don't think we want to draw a blanket and throw a blanket over this and say everybody at every school is bad and in on this. This is about the administrators at the district level and the administrators at the high school. If a principal wants this stuff to be done, it will get done. They're going to offer it to kids, and they're going to do it until we're in legislature in Kansas. Why can't they pass a law? No state funding. Minors will not be allowed to protest or exercise their free speech during school time. After school, yes, but not during school hours.
Absolutely, and you're 100% right. And for what my son tells me, actually at the high school he's at, it's actually a little better. But he said especially in middle school and the elementary school teachers are just 100% that way and don't care what the kids think.
Well, you're right.
They just want them to know what they think.
Right. Yeah, great call. And here's the problem. They can't be fired. They're in the teachers union. Unless they do something really egregious, they can't be fired for any of this stuff. And that in and of itself is a huge problem. Here's Steve in Shawnee. Good morning, Steve.
Hey, this is you were asking about where did it all begin with Sharice David. Remember that what you said? Anyway, what it was is basically back in 2018 when they were going to get rid of Kevin Yoder. It's called the Beat Yoder Forum. They had 2 or 3 of these forums, and Sharice David was basically one of the people on the panel. She came from Wisconsin. And the thing is that Brett Welder was the big bahoo there.
You're getting in the weeds here on stuff I don't think a lot of people care about. Can you just get to your point?
Well, to get to her point, basically, when she was given $240,000 from when she received it in the 9th District of New York, that's when the congressional was in New York. That's when Kansas City Star posted that, and everybody went gaga, and then Sharice David won the primary.
Yeah. Yeah, well, once she won it, she's had a stranglehold on this. Did you have a comment on anything she's doing today?
She's a messed up person, man. I mean, she's from day one since she's been in office. That's about it. I know. I got all the stuff.
All right, man. Thanks for the call. I appreciate that.
Bye.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and his heart's in the right place there. I was not looking for a tutorial on how it started with Sharice Davids because I don't like her and I don't care how it all started for her. She's there. She's our problem. The 2 easiest jobs in Kansas City are quite simple. Sharice Davids and Emmanuel Cleaver have the 2 easiest jobs in Kansas City. And it's been that way a long time. Nothing's expected or asked of them, and they just cash in. Wes is in Gladstone. Hi, Wes.
Yeah, hey, Keats. So what happened to Johnson County? Well, life got very easy for people, okay? And to be a conservative is hard because you have to take a stand, okay? When you hear the mainstream media crying about some issue, you have to stop and think, is this right? And you have to take a stand. Let's take abortion. It's about killing people. And you have to tell yourself that. And that's a hard thing to do. That's a hard thing to be honest with yourself about, okay? So none of these people want to take a stand, and they see Sharice Davids or some other dim, and that's what happened to Johnson County, man. And I'm afraid if she runs for Senate and rolls up a big vote total in Johnson County, she might get elected.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for the call, Wes. You're awesome. As always, I really appreciate it. My in-laws live out in Lee Summit, and we'll go out to dinner sometimes. We've been to, Texas Roadhouse, a couple of barbecue places, things like that. And every time we go out there and go out to dinner, I feel like I'm in what Johnson County used to be 20 years ago. I look around at the people, and I'm not talking about race here. I was talking about the way people are dressed, the way they act, how courteous they are. They hold the door for each other. They're not on their devices. I just feel like that's where I am. I'm like, why am I living where I'm living? Look how good this is. Look how good this is here in Lee Summit. I'm telling you, if you've been jumped from Johnson County, it's a frustrating deal right now. Truly is. Up next, Erase This Road in Kansas City. Stick around. Your chance to win Doobie Brothers Santana tickets at Morton Amphitheater coming up in just a few minutes. We'll take the seventh caller in a little bit. Not yet. Not yet. You'll have your chance to win those coming up very shortly. I keep looking over this list. I was talking about these businesses that were invited to meet with Sharice David yesterday at a Johnson County Small Business Roundtable. And I thought Hope Roots Collective was my favorite. I want to go meet the 10 white Karens that are on their website there. I think I'll just show up someday and tell them I need help. Is that what that is? Hope Roots Collective, they help people somehow? Is that like, what kind of help you need? I need help getting rid of Democrats in Johnson County. Can you help me with that? Can you help just a little bit on that? I don't know. Or attorney, I can promise you this. Ralph Munyon, the attorney that's involved in Jackson County and Kansas City Board of Elections Commission's politics in Missouri, sitting with my congresswoman at this event, will not be my small business attorney if I need a small business attorney. I've decided that one. All right, so Pete Buttigieg hasn't been right about very many things. His career, he's awful famous for a guy that's just, basically been nothing. They made a hero of him on the left, and so you know his name now. Most of the things that he did poorly, and that's what he's not as famous for because they don't like talking about that. But there's this new road that is opened in Overland Park, the I-60, the US 69 Express Lane. And they've been building this thing for about 3 years. And I'm all for progress. I'm for a lane. I'm for whatever. But I get this email from a listener of my podcast. If you listen to my podcast every day, I give my email address out. That's the best way to reach me. I don't really do it here because I've got a different email from here and it gets crossed over. But if you go ever listen to the podcast, just click on kkhasissues.com or Kevin Keatsman Has Issues, wherever you listen to podcasts. I give my email address out there, and I love getting emails from listeners. And I read a lot of them on the podcast. I want to share one with you now from a podcast listener. He said, well, I want to mention something related to my world. I'm an engineer. I don't know if you've heard, but the express lane is now open. These will be tolled lanes on an otherwise free stretch of highway. As I've observed public reaction in other states where this has been implemented, such as Texas, there are about to be a whole lot of critics of this thing. Mostly folks will say this is a cash grab or price gouging. But it's not really that as much as it's dynamic pricing. It doesn't have to do with revenue generation. It's actually a tool they use so it works. So he explains to me, due to congestion, US 69 was expanded with an extra lane in each direction. That doesn't alone do much because drivers are dumb and they drive 3 wide, 10 miles an hour under the speed limit. Nobody can get around them, and 7 miles behind them, everybody's backed up. It's about the drivers being poor drivers. If you just add a lane, you haven't done anything. Now, I like HOV lanes, heavily occupied vehicles. I think those are great. If you have 2 people in your car, look at this lane. It's wide open. We should reward those people that aren't driving alone all the time. What we're talking about in Overland Park is dynamic pricing, where they're going to tell you when you hit 69, hey, look at this lane. There's no traffic over here. There's going to be a sign that says it costs this much to get in this lane and use it. And during rush hour, it's obviously going to cost more than at 3 a.m. when you won't really need it. So I understand what they're going for. They want the lane to work. But as I started thinking about this and got this wonderful email from this engineer, he said it only works if they charge a high enough amount to deter some folks from using the lane. It's true. If they price it lower, it's crowded and it won't work. This price must be high. It's for people getting a faster option to where they're going. So we now have an elitist lane. At the very least, we'll say it's for the elites. If you got the $4.20 to throw down or whatever it's going to cost for you to go 6 miles, you don't even think about it. You're driving your Land Rover. Karen's in her Land Rover. She's headed out towards Southern Overland Park, and she's going to get in the left lane because this is going to get paid for. It's all good. I'm going to use this lane. Hopefully they won't clog that lane up by going slow. But the point is, there's going to be a lot of people that will be like, no, that's a waste of my money. I can't do that. That isn't the right thing to do. So we can call it elitist. But wouldn't we also call this racist if they put it in the one place they put it? If that's the only place in Kansas City that has a lane like this, white bread, rich Johnson County, people in a hurry. I got to get home. I got to get to my club. I got to get 9 holes in here after work. I got to hustle. We're important Johnson Countyans. We need a fast lane, especially for the people with the most money. I'm going to guess most of those people are white. I'll go ahead and call it a racist lane if Pete Buttigieg can. It's segregationist at best. It's segregating people. When we think of segregation, we think of black and white. There's a lot of ways to segregate people. A lot of ways. There's going to be all kinds of truckers that won't be allowed in that lane. So you're separating cars from trucks. You're separating people and classes. And I'm sure there's going to be people that say it's sexist. Because on average, men make more than women in America, so that lane is more affordable for men than women. Yep. Yes. Oh, boy, do we have a problem in Kansas. And where are the Democrats on this? Why is Sharice Davids not protesting this lane for being racist, sexist, elitist, and segregationist? It's all of those things. And by the way, if traffic isn't moving swiftly, I'm going to use it every time. Let me just throw down my white privilege card on you. My in-laws used to live out that way. We don't take that anymore because we drive over to Missouri and see them. But when we went out that way, during some of this construction a few years ago and everything else, it can get really, really jammed. So I know why they need it. And I appreciate my listener of the podcast, Michael, an engineer, for letting me know exactly what was going on with that lane and why they have dynamic pricing. And the price changes depending on the time of day. That's why. And yes, there are all kinds of problems with doing that. But the one main thing is it works. It works. And I think you know I'm being sarcastic. I'm all for implementing something that works and gives people a choice. And you have a choice to use the lane or not use the lane, and it really isn't that complicated. That we need to have more things like that are just not so complicated. All right, we got Jerry on the line. Wants to chime in here on Uncanceled this morning. Good morning, Jerry. How are you, sir?
Hey, Kevin, I don't think these to-be toll lanes are racist, but they definitely are classist because the only way you're going to be able to pay for it is electronically. And there are a lot of people who can't qualify for electronic, like credit cards, debit cards.
Well, you're just defining the voter ID argument.
They just prefer not to have
wait. They're saying voter ID is racist, and that's not racist?
I'm not saying anything about voter ID.
I know, but you just described their issue with voter ID as people can't get a card, they can't get an ID, they can't do this. They say that's racist. You can't have a voter ID. You're making the same argument as the voter ID people. You're just backing up that this is racist.
No. Anybody can get an ID that's acceptable for voting. In fact, the government will give you one if you can't otherwise figure out how to get one. But try to get an electronic card if you've been blacklisted by the banks. The banksters do this to people.
How do you own your car? How do you own your car and license your car without paying for it? And pay for insurance.
I do pay for it. I pay cash.
But I'm asking you a simple question. If you own a car and you're paying for the plates and the insurance and the property taxes on the damn thing, you're telling me you can't get in a lane? Come on, man. I'm done with this call. This is the dumbest call I ever heard. That's absurd.
They'll send you the bill and you can still pay in cash.
Of course. I don't even know that you have to buy anything. They're going to shoot your license plate.
Yeah, that's it.
They're going to shoot your plate and send you an invoice. Good
Pay
Lord.
cash, card, however you want.
And don't take me so literally. I'm having fun. It's the liberals that say this stuff is racist. I don't think it's racist. I wouldn't be. Here we go. Oh, they're going to have a news conference. Black people are scared to drive in the white lane. We can't go out there and over the park and drive in their expensive Land Rover lane. No. Those ladies are in a hurry, man. They got to get home. They got kids got to go to soccer practice. They just finished their lunch over at Red Door Grill or Nick and Jake's, had a little glass of wine. I got to go pick little Jimmy up. KTA stickers. Okay, so they're going to have a magnetic sticker in the window? Do you have to buy that or they'll just send it to you? You probably just fill it out. They send you one, and then you're billed on your credit card or however you want to do it. It's just, which is much better than the license. It's probably cheaper than the license plate readers too. But it's also information collecting. I don't think we're going to have a lot of illegal alien criminals that ICE is chasing out in that lane. I'm just going to guess. Well, maybe they're not smart enough to stay out of that lane. Maybe they're running drugs. They're in a hurry. You know, they're trying to get to Missouri or Iowa as fast as they can. They're going to Minneapolis. We're going from Texas to Minneapolis. We're unloading our stuff with the Somalis up here. I don't know. But I don't care. I know I'm on camera everywhere I drive anymore. And I know they can shoot my license plate anywhere they want to. So follow the laws and do this thing the right way. I'm just having fun today. I don't know how this isn't an uproar by liberals. It is right in their wheelhouse that this is racist, elitist, segregationist, sexist, you name it. It's every ist in the book. And it's probably ageist because, well, older people can't drive that fast, or shouldn't be in that lane. That's not fair to them. There's just a lane sitting right there, and they're scared to go in it because everybody's driving so fast. That would have been my mom when she was driving a year ago. I'm not getting in that lane, no. Oh, you're biased against Kevin's mom. I think the lane is awesome. I think it's a great idea. And again, if traffic's moving slowly, I'm in the lane. I'm getting in. I'm going. I'm absolutely going. All right, Chiefs fans, listen up. Here we go. The Chicago Bears are doing something far, far more controversial than the Chiefs moving from I-435 and I-70 to I-435 and I-70. This is far more controversial. It would appear, according to reports today out of Indianapolis and Chicago, that the Indiana Assembly has voted unanimously Senate Bill 27, 24-0, to give tax credits and financing to the Chicago Bears to leave the city of Chicago and move to Hammond, Indiana, which is where Wolf Lake is. It's a rather rural area. I would already suggest somebody's thinking about renaming Wolf Lake to Bears Lake. That would make sense. Or Hallis Lake. Or, I don't know, Walter Payton Lake, something. They'll come up with something. They don't have to keep it Wolf Lake. That's not named after anybody. They're going to build a new stadium there. The state of Indiana has a population of 7 million people. This will be their second NFL team if they get the Bears, and this is a really big deal. The Chiefs, when they moved across the state line, immediately will lower their corporate tax by 0.5%. That isn't very much, but on $1 billion, it's real money. That's not the reason the Chiefs are moving. The Chiefs were moving for all the other reasons we've talked about at great length here. But the Chicago Bears are going to move from 9.5% corporate tax in Illinois to 4.8% in Indiana. They're going to save 5%. That's a lot of money, folks, on the revenue the Chicago Bears do. 5% is a lot. They will have their income tax, state income tax for all their employees, personal income, go from 5% to 2.8%. So that's down a couple of points. Every player so Patrick Mahomes would make about, over the life of his contract, that move would have saved him close to $10 million. Just moving across the state line would have saved him $10 million. 99.9% of the people in America will never have $10 million. And that's just what Mahomes would have saved by moving from Illinois to Indiana. But make no mistake about it. The Bears have tried for 2 or 3 years with Illinois to make this work. They're no different than McDonald's. They're no different than Morton Salt. They're no different than the real estate, the property, even like on the Miracle Mile and all those fancy buildings in Chicago. They're selling it like 70% less than what they sold for 5, 10, 15 years ago. There are literally buildings that sold for $400 million 10 years ago that are now selling for $51 million. Like they're just fire sale. They got to go. Nobody wants to be there. The businesses are all leaving. And the Chicago Bears are another business. This is what Democrats do. This is what's happened in the great city of Chicago. We've been focusing on the crime in Chicago for a long period of time. But crime really exists everywhere in these liberal cities. Quentin Lucas has his problem with crime. St. Louis has their problem. Wichita, you name the city, it doesn't matter. The liberal cities have crime problems. But what they really have is a business problem. A huge business problem. And I'll say, I'll give my stance again because I firmly believe this. Kansas and Missouri politicians, both state houses are run by Republicans. You guys should just be competing your ass off for all these businesses on this state line. Up and down, not just Kansas City. Pittsburgh, Joplin, Nevada, Butler, all these different places. I mean, across the Nevada, Fort Scott, all the places that people think about. You should be competing like heck because businesses are wising up to this. And they're making smart choices for their businesses, for their own personal private businesses or public businesses that they have a responsibility to shareholders. Uncanceled continues. Mark has good news about the Mavericks and something really cool they're doing this week. That's next on KCMO. I want to apologize. If I was rude to a couple of you, I'm really sorry. I get frustrated sometimes when the show gets derailed. and it was going a couple places I didn't want it to go. And I don't think the listeners wanted it to go. So that's kind of my job. I don't mean to be the rude flight attendant, but sometimes there's a passenger that needs to be told, tone it down a little. It's all good. Sorry about that. I mean that. I would never do that with Mark Van Parlay. He is always in line with everything we're doing here at Uncanceled. And he's uncovered, we were just talking before the show about the Mavericks and a cool thing they're doing this weekend.
Oh, yeah. They've won 9 in a row,
They're
23 of 24. So great product already. But, man, they're doing military night. So all those military guys, if you're former or current, $25 tickets, military appreciation. They're going to do some honors there. And then a special jersey. John told me about the jersey. So
which night is it?
Saturday.
Saturday night.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Those games are fast and furious, and they're always good. Every single year, the Mavericks are good. That's a great product, and those are great people. Those are really, really good people. Our good friend Gary Lezak, right?
Oh, yeah.
Who's a contributor here on Uncanceled. Whenever we have weather, we get Gary Lezak on from weather2020.com. He put a social media post up yesterday, and I don't know how many of our listeners are on social media would have seen this, but I feel like I should pass it along because many of you maybe didn't see it. Mark, do you follow him? Did you see what he did yesterday?
Yeah, I did.
He made a video coming off of anesthesia, laying in a hospital bed.
Which is always entertaining.
Which is the single most Lezak thing ever, right? And his husband Andy's there and ignoring him like, oh, boy. Normally he'd say, so I texted Gary after this was over. Everything was okay. It was a colonoscopy, apparently. They found a couple of polyps and got rid of them. But I don't think a lot of people remember this or know this, or maybe you've forgotten. 27 years ago, Gary was diagnosed with bone cancer. And it was very serious. And it was rare. And he's a survivor, and he doesn't really, talk about it all that much or want any sympathy from anybody. Gary's just a great guy. I'm not supposed to say this stuff. He's just a great conservative. He loves America. And he's so super at what he does, and he's got his own business he's running now, and he's successful at that. Gary Lezak was always going to win at anything he ever did in life. He's just that guy. And I'm watching this thing, and he's all looping. He's like, I got called polyps. I'm like, this is the most Lezak thing I've ever seen. I text him. I'm like, are you okay? Is everything all right? He goes, oh, couldn't be better. And then he just starts railing on Canada for no reason. I'm like, yes, so good. I figure he was railing on Canada because they cheat at curling, right?
Yeah, he's probably been watching the Olympics.
They cheat, correct?
Oh, yeah.
The whole world agrees Canada's cheaters.
Yes.
They're cheaters, and they haven't won the Stanley Cup since 1993.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically their cup.
Should be.
Hasn't been in Canada since 93. Man, it's a bad time to be Canadians. You might want to think about coming on over. Just everybody move to Alberta. We'll take Alberta as the 51st state. That'll be just fine with everybody down here in Trumpville. The Vince Show's coming up next. Thanks for listening to KCMO.